While I love that the legal profession has finally acknowledged that lawyer burnout is a thing, what I don't love is that because there is more discussion around lawyer burnout, there seems to be a trend toward normalizing lawyer burnout. A big part of why it's becoming normalized is because I think that burnout is widely misunderstood. So, stick with me in this video to learn what burnout really is and what the main causes are of it, because knowledge is power. Welcome back. And if you're new to this channel, I'm Annie Little. I'm an ICF certified coach and a former lawyer. I created this channel for lawyers who are looking for practical guidance on how to land, lead, and succeed in the legal profession and beyond. We are going to start with the research behind burnout. Briefly, nothing too serious. But I start there because one of the best resources I have found for lawyer burnout is Paula Davis, who just so happens to be a former lawyer, and now she is a leading expert on workplace wellness. And she's an expert, she's a researcher, and she's a consultant. And along with other workplaces, she advises law firms on workplace well-being. A lot of the information that I will be sharing today in this video has been pulled from her latest book, Beating Burnout at Work. So I've included a link to that book, no affiliate link or commission or anything, and then also a link to her website. So definitely check those out. So first part, we are going to talk about what lawyer burnout is. And again, we'll be drawing from the research of Paula Davis. So the World Health Organization has updated its definition of burnout to be, they call it a syndrome that it results from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. Now, the two things that stand out to me are chronic. So this is not, a temporary feeling of feeling burned out or like worn down, run down after working on a big project or, just being super busy for a little while. That's like an acute situation. So chronic, like been going on for a long time. And then workplace, which I know seems kind of obvious, but I just want to make that demarcation clear between what may be happening in your personal life and what happens in the workplace. Because when we're talking about burnout, we are talking about stress that occurs in the workplace. So yes, while you do have a responsibility to manage your symptoms of burnout, ultimately, the source of that burnout is going to be the workplace, which is under the control of the employer. And I think that's a really big distinction that is being missed right now. So from the research, there are three components of burnout that researchers like Paula Davis will use to assess whether, the degree to which somebody is experiencing burnout. And those three components are exhaustion, cynicism, and inefficacy. Exhaustion is pretty self-explanatory. It's just like feeling physically and emotionally drained. And also there's it's characterized by like a disconnect or a disengagement from like emotionally and cognitively from the work itself that you're doing. And it's thought that might be like a coping mechanism to give you some distance from that overwhelm and feeling of being overloaded. Cynicism. This is where everybody starts to bother you. Everybody's a pain in your ass. Your colleagues, your boss, your clients. And just everybody seems to be making demands of you, and you're done. Like you can't deal with it. And what happens is you start to distance yourself from all of these people, and you start to like forget or just not recognize like their unique characteristics that make them engaging people and, fellow humans. And what happens is then your ability to empathize goes down and just your overall empathy decreases. And with inefficacy, it's this general feeling of why even bother? Like, nothing really matters. Nothing's going to improve or get better no matter what I do. So why even bother trying? And this shows up when you don't have access to the resources you need to do your job. And when you don't have the resources to do a good job, you're not getting that sense of accomplishment that you need, that or that feeling of impact, that you're making an impact. And that's the motivation that will keep you going in your job. And side note, on top of just having that natural need to feel like your work is meaningful or impactful, or like there's a purpose behind it in some way, a lot of the lawyers I work with, they report that sense of accomplishment and or impact are one or two of their top core values. And when you're feeling disconnected from your values, that's another part of burnout, which we'll get to a little bit later. We have a basic understanding of what burnout is, how it's defined, how it's measured. Right, so next, what causes burnout? I really like Paula Davis's explanation for this. It's very intuitive. Burnout results when your job demands exceed your job resources. Because if you don't have enough resources to do your job, you're going to start to feel overwhelmed. Burnout is more likely to show up. And I think it's helpful to give some specific examples of job demands and corresponding job resources. And Paula Davis has what she calls the core 6 job demands. And so these are like the most important. There are others, but these really resonated with me and for what I experienced as a lawyer and what my clients report now. So here are the core 6 job demands: lack of autonomy, high workload, along with high stress environment, often characterized by inadequate staffing, lack of support from leaders and or colleagues, unfairness, so arbitrary decision-making, lack of transparency, favoritism, values disconnect, this is what I was alluding to earlier, and lack of recognition. And in addition to being like the normal pat on the back that every human being needs, and it's okay if you feel like you need that recognition and you're not getting it, but I also think that it applies to like not being recognized when it comes to allocation of credit, for, whether that's like origination or billing or whatever. So as I was going through that, how many of those resonated with you? How many of those felt like these are very real demands and they feel bigger than the resources that I have to manage them? You're not alone if you're like, absolutely, those all feel like very overwhelming demands. And Paula Davis describes job resources as those things that give you the energy and motivation to meet your job demands, to do your job well. And when you do your job well, that will lead to like personal satisfaction, learning, professional development. And so these are resources that will help you to address the demands of your job. And like if you have a lot of demands, like all of the core 6 for most lawyers, you're going to need a lot of corresponding job resources. So here are some examples that Paula Davis provides. High quality relationships with colleagues, basically having a support system at work. Participation in decision making and having some decision authority. Feedback, and we're talking constructive, regular feedback. Autonomy and job control, which to me is like not being micromanaged. Professional development opportunities, support from your leader, recognition, having meaningful work or work that has an impact, and role clarity. So as I was listing those off, you probably noticed some that you're like, I am lacking in that. I need more of that. Wow, I didn't know that that's something that would actually help me address what feel like these overwhelming job demands that I have. So hopefully you feel a little validated in your experience by hearing what causes burnout and having a better understanding of what burnout is. And like I said at the beginning, knowledge is power. And I say that because most of the lawyers that come to me are experiencing burnout. And if they're not currently experiencing it, they've recently experienced it. And so it's important to know that you are going through burnout, that your experience is being validated, that you understand what's going on, and you have a sense of why, and that your responsibility for that burnout is more limited than the legal profession would lead you to believe. So, if that sounds like you, and you know you need a change, but you might not be sure what that change looks like, I want you to check out my program, Make Your Next Move. I put a link in the description, and it has a special limited time offer just for you. But most of the attorneys who join my program, like I said, they are going through burnout and they're looking for a job that is not going to have all of these hallmarks of a workplace that basically promotes burnout. So check it out if you're looking to find and land an ideal job that doesn't lead to burnout. I think this will be for you.